Hey y'all, hey! It's your girl Sharifa with another episode of Emotional Pieces Podcast. Thank you for joining me. I'm your girl Sharifa, distinguished intelligent lady. Hey y'all, let's get into the topic today. So, the topic today is about emotional outlets or escapes. And honestly, I have been thinking about this topic for a while because I actually have this conversation quite often. And recently I had it with one of my sons, and we were talking about the topic of when they was growing up. And I was bringing up when because I was a young mom, I was bringing up when they were kids what my escape was, right? And how that has affected them today. But we're going to get into that later on. But I want to talk about it because it's something that I want to bring. It's like an awareness, right? We all have an emotional escape or something that we run to, or not just run to, but we feel like, okay, this is my safe place. Because what is an escape? Why do we escape? Why do we feel like we have to? Like, why do we think that do we have healthy escapes, right? Or healthy outlets? That's the other thing. So let's get into it even more. So as you're listening to this and watching this, I want you to think about your own emotional escapes or emotional outlets that you may have, that affect you and that may even also affect other people. Okay. So emotional escapes usually come about when there's situations going on in our life, situations going on with other people. Sometimes mostly it's like a trigger, right? It's a trigger of something or situations that's going on around you or with you. Okay. So and it's just learning how to deal with it. So situations and things that we may go through, it may be relationships, right? New relationships, separation, divorce, finance, children, job, health, family, parents, name it. Like, we could continue to list what those situations may be that would cause us to go into wanting to go into those outlets or escapes, right? And it could just be something that once we have those escapes or outlets, that we find as something that has become habits to us. Okay, they can develop into addictions, right? So if this is just to, like I said, bring awareness. That's what this whole podcast is about, right? So basically, it's how do you deal with things that come into your life? How do you deal with things that happen and how they take on in your life? Okay. Um, each of us deals with things in a different way. Whether those things make you happy, whether they make you frustrated, whether they make you sad. So I know, like for me, if I'm happy, right, I want to do something that makes me happy. And I know for us it can be cultural too. Let me say that. Culturally, for us as Black people, and even if you're not Black, you listen to this, you may have some things in your own culture that you do. But I know, like in our culture, what makes us happy? Food. Food makes us happy. So what do? We get together, we make stuff, and that used to be really old school, right? And I think some of us, a lot of us, not some of us, a lot of us have gotten away from that. But, happiness is food for a lot of people. We gather the family together. Hey, we have celebrations and holidays and things like that. So those are happy times, right? And we want food, we want that comfort too. But that's not always a bad thing. Okay. I'm not saying that any escape or outlet is bad, but if those outlets are being detrimental and harmful to you, then yes. Okay. So when we feel any type of emotion, okay, we all create our own outlet. I mean, period. That's just, we're human. That's what we do. Okay. I know, like for me, um, I have, where if I'm bored, that's a trigger for me. I want to go shop. I want to shop. And I'm like, oh, da, 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 let's go shopping now. Let's go online. Let's go to the store. I don't go in stores as much as I used to, but it's like, you know, if I'm bored, it's like, okay, what am I? What I'm just I want to shop, and it doesn't even have to be for me. It can be for my granddaughter, my grandson. It can be for my sons, my husband. Like I'm just like, oh, let me say, oh, such and such will like that. You know what I'm saying? So different emotions bring about those different outlets or escapes, right? Um, so let's get into like based on the factors that can play a role, those different emotions, they can play a role. But we choose the type of outlet that we want or the type of outlet to make us feel however it is we want that to make us feel, right? Do we want to feel satisfied? Do we want to feel like, okay, I deserve that? Do we want to feel like, okay, let me just try this out, right? So um again, this is about self-awareness, okay? And I'm looking at my notes, as y'all can tell, but I know for me, food has been one of my escapes, which led to, and I've talked about this at one episode of my podcast in season one, where I actually had an eating disorder. So for me, I use food. I've used food in my whole entire life as either a way to go to it, to help, as an outlet, or to run away from it, right? um and all of it is all based on how I felt, right? So as a teenager, I was anorexic. I had experienced bulimia too, and mostly anorexic, just not eating, like, period. And so I was very frail, mama concerned, other people concerned, like, girl, what's going on? Why you losing so much weight? And it was like I was just focused on that one thing, but my emotions was like, no, I don't want that food. I don't want to run to that. I don't want that. But then when I got to a certain age, it became my comfort, y'all. And I can remember, like, I remember being in certain places where we lived, and my husband on Wednesdays and Fridays either play cards or dominoes. And those particular days, it was like as soon as I would get off work, especially Fridays, oh my God, it was like the whole day I would be thinking about, okay, where am I gonna eat? Where I'm gonna get my dessert. Like I would have it all planned out. What I was getting for dinner, what I was gonna have for a snack. Because back then I had to have a dessert afterwards, right? So it didn't matter if I had to go to 3 to 4 spots or whatever. And just the feeling of that. Oh, ooh, yes, look, I got this. Oh, I had the piece of cake with the ice cream or whatever it was, or the cheesecake, or ooh, I got me some Chinese. I didn't care what the food was. Like that was my escape. That was my outlet. And it was triggering. So even once I had the surgery, the weight loss surgery, y'all, when those 2 days come around, especially at first, it don't really bother me as much. But when those days came around, I would be like, they were triggers, right? That's the other thing. We gotta be self-aware of what triggers us to those outlets. But anyway, I was like, when I was being, those days triggered me, like, okay, wait a minute. I'm supposed to go, look, let me go search for this. And it was like, no, no, no. I had to break that habit. So that outlet, that escape of running to food on those days and just overindulging and just eating on my own, it became a habit. But it became a habit to where even once I tried to get out of it, I had to break it. And it was hard. I'm not gonna say, like, that thing was hard. And that's the thing with these emotional outlets. Like for me, it was the food thing. And going back to when I was talking to my son, I was talking to my youngest son, and we were talking about church. And so when they were 8, 10, I was in my 20s. I was in my mid to late 20s. And I remember we moved to North Carolina. And in North Carolina, my sons were small. I didn't know anybody. I'm transparent on here. In my marriage at that time, we was kind of living two different lives. We really were. And so I was just kind of like, dang, what I was trying to figure out myself and that type of thing. And I was just going through this identity thing too. And the church at that time became my outlet. It became my escape. And as a result of that, my children joined along with me because it was like, okay, if I'm going, you going, because they were with me all the time. So me and him were talking about this, and I said, well, when I think about it, as a young woman in my 20s, baby, I could have found any type of escape there was. I could have been in the club. I could have been doing all kind of stuff. Let's just be honest. And I did go to the club sometime, but what I'm saying is I could have just found that as an outlet. Like, oh yeah, let me get a babysitter. Let me do what I gotta do. I'm going here. I'm doing da 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 da. But for me, because I was longing for something. Again, I could have found a lot of other escapes. Hear me what I'm saying? But at that time, I found the church to be my escape and a comfort and my outlet. And so as a result, I kind of overdid it. And as a result, my sons are adults now and they don't go at all. Now, because and so that's what I was saying, as sometimes the outlets that you choose or escapes that you have in your life can affect other people in your life. you know that that outlet that I had affected my children. Do they love God? Yes. Do they have their own relationship with God? Yes. But they don't they don't get into the church setting yet. They haven't found one that they feel like they feel comfortable enough to say, okay, because look, I done messed them up with that. Okay, they get triggered like, mm-mm. They get triggered like, nah, because of me. But it was comforting to me. But it affected them. It affected them in a good way, but in negatively, in the fact that as adults they're like, nah, I'm not doing what my mom did. And so even when we think about our own parents and family and things that they've done, and look, my dad, okay, I've talked about this. My dad, his outlet and escape was drugs. Okay, it affected me, right? But his was an addiction. Okay, so and I talk about that with him, where it was something, because here I grew up with him being a drug dealer, then turned drug addict. But and that affected me on both ends. But watch this. When he passed away, we at his funeral, right? At his funeral, and all these people are talking about him and how he started these anti-drug things back in the late 60s. And I'm sitting there looking like, are they talking about but this dude, they don't know. That's what I'm thinking. And I'll never forget my brother, one of my younger brothers, he looked at me and he said, my brother Kenny, he looked at me and said, are they talking about the right person? Because that don't sound like the person we grew up with. And I thought, wow, his escape, he ended up escaping into drugs, because it was like he knew what to do, but that was his escape. You know what I'm saying? And again, we're all human. So whether that's alcohol, many people find alcohol as their way of escape. Many people find cigarettes or hookahs or whatever it is. And now look, we got phones. Look, our phone, look, I'll be honest, the phone is my escape now. Like I'm always look doing this. What's the sign? We just scrolling right on, and we be in there for God knows how long. And it's an escape. Social media is an escape. You know what I'm saying? So, now we have all created our own escapes and taken our attention away from other things. So the thing is this: I don't care what your escape, emotional escape is, emotional outlet is. It's just important for us to become aware of it and how it is affecting you. Okay. Yeah, we can say how is it affecting other people, but at the end of the day, okay, you got to take care of yourself to be able to take care of other people too. So, how is the outlet or escape that you have affecting you? Is it causing you to your mental health? You know, is it affecting your health, physical health? You know what I'm saying? Like, we really need to look within ourselves, okay? Because it ain't no joke. It's not. Because again, those outlets, because sometimes in my mind, I'm like, you know what? And this is the time of the year when people are getting ready to, I'll wait till the new year. I'll get ready to do my what they call that, resolutions, and people are already starting to think about the things that they want to do, right? The things they want to change, right? So it's like, even coming up in the 2024, it's like, okay, well, why you got to wait till 2024? Why not just start tomorrow on something small? And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I do it to myself all the time because I'm like, I know I need to work out. I ain't worked out in months. I'm just being honest. Okay. But I do want that. That's a healthy escape to me. I want that to be one of my escapes. When I'm stressed out, let me go for a walk. Let me go ride my bike. Let me go just work out. Let me go to the gym. Let that be an escape. And I know for like one of my sons, that is one of his escapes, is going to the gym. He's like, no, I'm going to the gym. Like, let that be, let it be a healthy escape. So let's create some healthy escapes, right? Let's create some healthy outlets. You know what I'm saying? So every outlet doesn't have to be detrimental. And I know, like, when I was going through a really depressive state, which I call my dark place, I remember, and most people, I can't speak for everybody that has been depressed, but I know for a lot of people, and I'm gonna speak for myself, I was looking to escape. And this is why it's important to check on people who are depressed or have mental health things, because they're always looking for an escape. I know I was. Now, my escape was not to like kill myself or commit suicide or anything like that, but it is for some people. Hear me. Mine was, I just wanted to get away. My getaway was, let me get in the car and just drive and go. Okay. That was what I kept thinking would be my outlet. Like, I need to get away from where I am, thinking that would make it better. Okay. That's the outlet. Okay. Some people's outlets with mental health is, like I said, different. It just depends on the person. um and whether it's mental health or whatever, we again, we all have outlets, but I'm bringing that up because that's key. And a lot of people who have never been depressed or dealt with mental health things, they don't understand that it's an outlet. So you may see somebody that's depressed, or things like that, and they're into video games, right? Or maybe they're just watching a lot of TV, or again, eating or whatever it is. And so just watching for those type of things, it's an outlet to them, and those outlets are better than what could be. That's not good at all, right? So just being self-aware, y'all. We just need to be self-aware about ourselves, and to just make sure that we checking on all of our people. Like, I check on my sons, like, hey, I like some of my sister cousin says, hey, how's your mental? Making sure that, I said that to my son, which is how we got into this conversation, right? But it's important that we have these conversations. It's important that, hey, what is one of your escapes? What is your outlet? And we see people's habits, but they may not even realize that this is what they're running to. You may not even realize that that's what you're running to, right? So, just being help, just making sure that it's something that's good for you and not, again, detrimental, right? So let's get into our uh our life words, y'all. Our life words. Y'all know I believe in speaking life. Y'all already know that. So let's do our life words. Let me pull them up real quick. I make good choices. I have amazing strength within me. I am becoming the best version of myself. And I radiate positivity and healthy habits and boundaries for myself. Let's get into it. The boundaries. That's a whole nother topic, right? But the boundaries, setting healthy boundaries, that's also a way that you can help with those, okay, triggers of those outlets. Okay, so we're gonna get into that another discussion. But y'all, I got some great topics coming up and some guests Guess, because I want to have an open conversation with y'all. And I'm thinking about coming on Facebook too live and just doing an open dialogue with a topic, y'all. These topics just be coming, just be flowing. But anyway, y'all catch me next time. All right. Think about y'all healthy outlets and boundaries and escapes. And we're gonna get into more of a discussion because this is all about self-awareness. Don't forget, I believe in Yeshua, Jesus, and therapy. So if you need to seek out your therapist, if you need to seek out a counselor and talk more about that so you can, you can work on those outlets and escapes. So if you need a mentor, do that too, because we all need help. Ain't nobody perfect, okay? But I love y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Make sure y'all check out Emotional Pieces Podcast and like and subscribe and share. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.